Hi, welcome back to the garden. Today is Wednesday, March 8th. I bet you can't guess what we're going to talk about today. Sweet potato slips, that's right. It's a wet, drizzly day outside, so what better thing to do than let's pot up some sweet potato slips. I like to get a little soil in the bottom of my containers before we start. I've been asked why we do this and why they can't just plant the sweet potatoes and have it come up as a potato. Because the sweet potato is really not a potato. This is actually the tuber off of a root. Now if you planted that, you're going to have a really lush green bush, and if all you wanted to do is eat sweet potato leaves, that's a fine way to do it. But if you want to get some more tubers, you need slips. And the way that we made these slips, this is just the top of one of the sweet potatoes we were going to cook. I cut that top off, set it in this little pan and put a little water in it, and it started to grow. Now to plant these and to get good slips, you just take wherever it's grown, you just pull it off of the tuber itself. And this has got one fine vine on it. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple different things you can do. This entire vine will root. So we're going to go ahead and start this one. Just put it down in your container. You don't have to worry about how much soil you put in on it because the entire vine will root. And when we go to plant it in the garden, we're going to plant it deeper than we have roots showing. Filling this right up to the top, and then it's going to seem crazy, but about halfway I'm just going to break that, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this in another container and fill that up with soil. Snug that down in there, and this will go ahead and root. When you're doing this, you might lose all your leaves. Don't worry about it. It'll come back with a vengeance. At least that's my experience. See how much roots have been produced? Let's go ahead and take this one off. You just pull it free from the tuber and then gently work those roots loose. And if you rip a few of them, it'll be all right. But look at that nice little mat of roots. This has got one fine vine. We're going to do the same thing with it. So we have some soil down in our container. You just set that down in there. Fill it on back up with soil. Snug that down in there. Go ahead and add some more soil. You want to go ahead and fill that soil up. You want to have enough room to water. And there's nothing wrong with leaving this much vine on here, but this has got a little kink in it from moving it, so I'm going to break it right there. But you can see it's already starting to split and vine right there. I'm going to go ahead and take that there also. If you can see right here, these little nodes, right here where it's branching, those little nodes, those are going to become roots. So we're going to break that down from there just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and plant this. So right here where it's split, you got those little bumps. Those are going to become roots. Right here you got little bumps. Those are going to become roots. So I'm going to pinch that leaf off and that leaf off. And then we're just going to go ahead. I've stuck that down in the soil. You can let that Y out like it is. Then just go ahead and fill that back up with soil. And snug that down in. And that should make some really fine roots to make some potatoes in the summer. So right here, go ahead and pull this free. Look at the roots you're getting off of that. I'm just going to set that all down in there. Just backfill with soil. Like I say, the ends of these potatoes weren't very big that I cut off, and they made some really nice slips. You just pull that free, gently move that, untangle the roots as best you can. Work out a little bit, they come free pretty easy. look at that tangle. Those roots are beautiful. A little soil on the bottom. Now your potatoes are produced off of these roots. So the better your root system is, the better chance you are to make good potatoes. All you have to do is cut the end of your sweet potato off, set it in a shallow little pan of water, make sure it doesn't dry out, and then put it on your windowsill. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and leave those to make more slips. Now off this Beauregard, it's producing nice slips. And having that little hook, we'll put it down in there a little bit, and that whole thing will root, so that you don't have to be real careful about the soil you put back in on it. Just want to snug it down in there. Now you could separate these, but I've got a whole bunch of these up at the house that we're going to go ahead and try to root, so we're going to leave that as one piece. And I got this little cluster here. I'm going to go ahead and pull that. Get that down in there. Backfill. Snug that down in there. While we're at this, we're going to plant some turmeric in some containers. Now this, as we were letting this dry out, it got a green sprout on it, and I'm not going to let that go to waste. And we'll see what we get. We'll want to up pot these just as soon as they start growing. So these you don't plant very deep, and we'll plant the rest of the turmeric in the garden when it warms up a little bit. But this is a good way to get these going. And if you thought I planned that out, I'll say I did, but I didn't. The reason I'm putting them in here is if it does get cold, I do want to bring them to the house. I think we got a pretty nice little batch of sweet potato slips and a couple turmeric started. Now we should be ready to plant on Memorial Day. Now to recap, the way to make slips, you can take a sweet potato, lay it in a pan, fill it up about halfway with water. Slips should start growing on that. Once you see that, you just break them off with the roots and put them in the soil. Or you could take a sweet potato like this, put a couple toothpicks in it, set it in a glass, fill that glass up with water, let it sit in there, and it should start making slips. That's another way. I don't really like doing it that way, but it's pretty successful. Now what we did with these is when we went to eat this, we just take a knife and we cut it here and we cut it here, and we set it in the shallow dish, fill it 3/4 of the way with water, and let it make slips that way. I've been the most successful doing it this way, so that's what I would recommend. You don't want to plant the tuber by itself unless all you want is a big green bush. And if you're into eating sweet potato leaves and that's all you want, that's a great way to do it, and it will make a wonderful green bush. But if you want sweet potatoes like this is the way you want to start. This is a Beauregard sweet potato, and when I started this journey, I bought a couple at the store for Thanksgiving, and they started making slips before Thanksgiving, and then we went ahead and potted up. We went ahead and ate those potatoes, and they were wonderful. And that next year we got some giant sweet potatoes, and the next year we got even bigger sweet potatoes, and then the next year we fed the critters in the ground. So hopefully this year we're not going to be doing that, and we'll still get some really nice sweet potatoes. But this is the way you grow them. If you like to see those giant sweet potatoes, click that link right there, and I'll meet you right back here in the garden. But until next time, remember, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you. Come on, let's plant.
Let's go plant garden.